We can't call in the National Guard unless we're requested by a governor.
The law, of course, has not changed since then. So what has?
I'm not an attorney.
You know what I love to see? I love to see the mush mouth dildo with ears, Tom Homan, get trapped. Get trapped. And really, it doesn't take much to trap Tom Homan, because this is Kaitlan Collins from CNN, the former Daily Caller writer, the former employee of Tucker Carlson, who trapped Tom Homan with a clip of his boss and dear leader, Donald Trump. It didn't take long at all. He's there stumbling through his words, slurring through his words with his big, pulpy, red, boozy red nose, Tom Homan. And he's talking about what's taking place in LA right now and how he's comparing it to Minnesota in 2020 and so many other areas with the uprising after the murder, the brutal, disgusting on-camera murder of George Floyd. And Kaitlan Collins says, well, yeah, you're trying to justify the deployment of the activation, the federalization of the National Guard. But Donald Trump back in 2020 said he can't do that. It's out of his power. And before that, Tom Homan was acting like just the resolute expert on these things. And as soon as she shows the clip, all of a sudden it's, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. Let me go find a drink. I need a drink. Where's Donald Trump find these people? Anyway, watch this, and we'll talk about a couple of the other elements that struck me on the other side.
The president took quick action to deploy the National Guard to protect government property that was being destroyed, protecting our agents and officers, and protecting the general public. I think President Trump did exactly the right thing. He's trying to prevent another Minnesota from 2020, trying to prevent another Portland, Seattle tragedy. So I'm happy he deployed National Guard.
Well, speaking of 2020, there was a comment that the president made then about whether or not he could deploy and activate the National Guard. I want you to listen to what he said then.
We have laws. We have to go by the laws. We can't move in the National Guard. I can call insurrection, but there's no reason to ever do that, even in a Portland case. We can't call in the National Guard unless we're requested by a governor.
The law, of course, has not changed since then. So what has?
I'm not an attorney, and all I know is I'm on calls every day with the heads of DOD and DOJ. So we got legal minds in DOJ and DOD, and DOJ are making these decisions. So I certainly think the president's acting within the confines of the law. I mean, I'm on phone calls every day, and these lawyers are making these decisions, so I stand by it.
But I think some people may look at that and say, well, one, you know the law very well. Obviously, you worked in deportations when President Obama was in office. You're now back in this role.
I know immigration law very well, but I do not. I'm not an expert on constitutional law or insurrection law or national. That's out of my lane. I simply am thankful that whatever President Trump decided, that was backed up by attorneys in the Department of Justice and Department of Defense. I'm just glad he deployed those National Guards here, because I think they're saving lives. I think they're protecting property.
Well, some people may look and say, if this has not been something that any president has done and hasn't happened since the 1960s, is this the worst protest that has happened since then, warranting that?
Look, I was on the ground Friday night where hundreds and hundreds of protesters who were protesters all of a sudden became criminals.
That is befuddlement. That was him. Look, if there had been a desk in front of him, he would have dived for cover, sucking his thumb, hiding from the press and the media, because he is outed as an absolute liar, or he's stupid, because he constantly bangs on about, we're just a couple of cops. I'm a cop. I've been a cop forever. I know all of this stuff. I'm good at this. I'm the best at this. I'm an expert. And then you trap him and he doesn't want to say anything about the dear leader that's poor or negative. So he's like, I'm not a lawyer. The DOJ, blah, blah, blah. I just follow orders. Like a jackbooted thug. Like an armed agent of the state would act like a coward and hide behind other people, especially not wanting to say anything about the dear leader. Who he does not mind talking about bad is protesters. That's when protesters became criminals. Because to these people, if you exercise your right to redress your government, your right to free speech, your right protected by the Constitution of the United States, specifically in the First Amendment, you are a criminal, not a protester. This man who swore his oath to the Constitution as a law enforcement officer, as a federal employee, certainly as a cop, maybe he was a beat cop. I don't know the guy's whole bio, but he's probably sworn an oath multiple times to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. He signed up to be a member of the government that the burden rests upon, that it's harder for the government to make a case against someone, and that's the way it's supposed to be. It's by design to be that way. But he wants to break the rules to make it easier because he doesn't want to do his job correctly. He wants the easy way out, like all of these weaklings. Anyway, a brief moment of lack of terror from CNN, maybe kind of partially on the halfway there of doing their job. Also a constitutionally protected occupation, the free press. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below in the comment section. That'll help the algorithm share this content or this channel with possible new viewers. We need to grow independent media exponentially in the next 4 years in order that we can protect ourselves, both of us protect ourselves, but also so we can fold in so many more people into the truth, into reality, and not be bamboozled by fascism and the lies of Donald Trump and the demented cult of MAGA. Anyway, if you want to help support this work, the next step, you can give me $2 a month to help support this work, help me produce these videos. Click the join button below. Again, $2 a month, become a channel member, or patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Or for that matter, go to Dollemore.com and check out all the merch and options to help support the show there. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another. Many of you are aware that my dear friend and brother of choice, not of blood, Brett McAfee, suffered a near fatal medical emergency last summer while our families were on vacation in Scotland. I appreciate to no end the outpouring of support for Brett that you all gave. And I'm also very happy to report that he is safe and healing and working that long path of recovery. What I've probably not told you about Brett is that beyond being an excellent friend, he's also a talented writer. We have been the best of friends since we were kids, and I have been continually inspired by his creativity and by the truly singular take that he has on life. Over 2 decades ago, he wrote a poem called The Grateful Child. It's an acknowledgement of all the simple strengths that we tend to overlook. Written from the perspective of a young person, multiple grateful children express gratitude to their parents for the elements that make them who they are. The accounting of these everyday gifts inspires a clear reminder that we should not take anything for granted. I've shared Brett's remarkable poem with numerous people over the years, and a reoccurring response is that this should be a book. Well, we finally decided to listen to those people. The Grateful Child is not only a children's book for adults in your life, it's also an adult's book for children in your life. Everyone will appreciate its straightforward yet elegant celebration of life's little endowments. Click the link below to pre-order now, or simply scan this QR code and order your copy or copies today. But this being an illustrated book, we could not survive on the words alone. To pair with Brett's touching words, we searched all over for an illustrator who could bring the Grateful Child to visual life. We landed on somebody right here in the community from this show. Leah Farshid is an internationally acclaimed illustrator who, like you, is also an audience member. The moment we saw the first images that Leah drew to accompany Brett's text, we knew we had a perfect combination. It brings me tremendous joy to share my best friend's beautiful poem and Leah's spectacular images with the world. Everyone can benefit from The Grateful Child, just as I benefit from Brett's lifelong friendship. Share this beautiful book with your children. Share it with your parents or other relatives. The Grateful Child is an easy and exceptional way
to show appreciation for someone in your life, young or old. Support someone you love and support this channel by giving the Grateful Child. Click the link below to pre-order now or simply scan this QR code. I am pretty sure your children need a copy. And your mom, your nieces and your nephews, your Grandpa Charlie too. Don't forget Grandpa Charlie. I think he'd love this. Make the Grateful Child a part of your life. It has been such an excellent part of mine.